Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video of some F1 2021 game ideas. Today we're going to be discussing how the HQ and the paddock should look in F1 2021. This video will not cover interview locations because I want to cover that in a later video along with sponsor events and all stuff like that. But yes, if you are not yet subscribed, then please do. It massively helps me out to sustain the channel. We're currently aiming for 250 subs by the end of the year. We're currently on 230. If you have already subscribed, then a massive thank you for supporting the channel. But I think the first thing really that has to be brought back from F1 2017 is the hospitality suite, because all you've got now, well, the HQ is pretty much non-existent. It's just a couple of cutscenes with some people blowing air, depending on which level you are. And not even that, you don't even get to see that in driver career mode. All you get to see is your car and that little workstation, which is pathetic, really. Considering the fact they had this good thing from F1 2017 where you'd move about the hospitality suites. You'd either go you'd be downstairs or upstairs. You'd just be sat down, and it was actually quite a nice setting for entering and ending videos, really, and starting the weekend over, really. But yes, it had a nice feel. Obviously they sort of took it away because obviously you don't want to really have conversations about R&D there. Maybe that they could bring back the voicemail that they did, and then they say, hey, can you come down the R&D place, please, or the workstation, or whatever you want to call that. We need to have a little discussion about R&D, or etc. Obviously, you can probably order R&D upgrades from the hospitality suite still. At the same time, it just adds a bit of a better feel, really, being able to see the outside world of the paddock there in the background. And obviously it's from a past F1 game, so it should be easy for them to implement, but there we go. And they also, by the way, so it's talking of the R&D place, I'm not really going to talk much about R&D because I've got a separate episode on it. But at the same time, back in F1 2017, if you had an R&D failure, they had a cutscene where you'd end up down in some little caravan or lorry down in the paddock. It was a separate section to the hospitality suite, and I think they could do a bit more with that as well from F1 2017 regarding R&D. But number 2, HQ upgrades, like in Motorsport Manager. Pretty much simple here. The HQ sections aren't good enough. They are too based on R&D, and all you've got is some cutscenes, really. I'd like to see some more stuff being upgraded, separated out. I'm not entirely sure what those things would be because I've not been to a HQ myself. Maybe I'd like have a HQ tour, which could bring some extra income in. Maybe get like I know in Motorsport Manager they had a helipad and the theme park as well, which you could just literally also get people there. Also test track as well. We haven't Ferrari Home Mugello. Yes, that's an actual circuit, but at the same time you could use another circuit for a test, or you could make what code markers could make a fictional circuit. Let's say, okay, you want to upgrade this, or first you have to build it, basically. So you'd have to build your HQ to be the better it is. Obviously, you could have then unlimited testing days of your car, and that, of course, that comes back again into R&D, which we'll discuss back in a later video. But again, having like a test track, maybe a helipad for your sponsors or the drivers, getting a quicker way and not having to face the paparazzi at the front door. Stuff like that. I'm sure they could probably have a word with a couple of the F1 teams and see, especially McLaren's HQ, which is a state of the art compared to some of the others. But having that in there as well. I'm not entirely sure how this would fit into driver career. I guess you could probably scan in like Maranello, Woking, and a couple of the others. Just basically do a few scans, obviously that need to meet proficient for the team, and then obviously use that one to then generate the HQ upgrades. Obviously HQ upgrades in driver career mode are controlled by the team, which is good, but obviously they are very erratic and stuff. Again, I will touch on that in R&D because it's got a bit more focus there. Really, they're not really effective on the PR department and the fitness centre because you don't really see that happen really. Number 3 is a bold one, but we're going next gen. It's been an idea that's been bandied around for absolutely ages. Being able to walk around the HQ or the paddock. Now, obviously, the paddock might be a bit of a stretch, but definitely the HQ would be something that we would look to see. I don't know whether you'd be able to walk around the different facilities, go outside. Be a bit like having a facility, a bit like walking around one of your bunkers in GTA 5 or something like that. I think that's obviously where F1 games in the future are definitely working towards. Maybe not for next year's game, because it is a bit of an ambitious one, but it definitely needs to be thought about now. When we go and maybe in a couple of years' time, like F1 2022, F1 2023, this might be a small bit where the player gets to walk around the HQ. We've already seen a few things like a boardroom and an upstairs chill out section, so I don't see why not these can't be parts of the HQ. Maybe able to walk around the hospitality suite might be a more realistic one, because obviously they're a lot smaller. So you could like walk around, go upstairs, maybe walk into the different offices if you're the owner. Again, there's a lot of stuff. There. Maybe walk if you're a driver career mode, then you probably interrupt a meeting with the team boss, and then you probably lose. You probably get the team boss shouting at you there for interrupting a classified meeting there. Stuff like that would actually be quite cool, to be able to just walk around, give the player freedom to be able to go and have an open world scenario really. Right, number 4 has to be the agents or PR's office. Now, I guess you're going to have your own personal PR person, because there's always somebody when you get interviewed, but they're not going to be the same time. I think they're just going to be somebody from the team that's usually there. You don't really see your agent. It's more like your personal staff really that sit with you. So you're probably going to have a bit more of a team with agents, your PR personnel. Again, I want to touch on this in another video about personnel and sponsors and stuff like that. I will do that in the acclaim and contracts video, because I think contracts within my team is just literally you're contracting your teammates at the moment, compared to contracting all the other staff that come with my team like they do in Motorsport Manager. But I think they need an office for this person. Obviously in the past the office for Emma has been in the paddock, in the all hospitality suite. I think that they need to use that F2 office that they had in 2019, an F1 2019, in where it was in London, I think it was based, but it could be anywhere. Just basically have a separate. That office was actually quite nicely modelled. Just get that office back in the game and have that for her everyday office. So you'd like turn up there at the end of the season when she gets your end of season report, etc., etc. And that brings me on to the last one, which it's just more in general. We have to see more cutscenes, because the fact of the matter is, how many cutscenes do you really think you're going to get per season? 1 or 2? You probably get obviously you get the interviews, which really don't really count with Claire. And if we exclude the interviews, the amount of cutscenes where you're not taking interaction with, or you're not, it's basically stuff other than an interview. So like when Carl talking about R&D, or Emma talking about contract, although there is no, she doesn't really feature in my team at all. Stuff like that. We just need more cutscenes where it's just not to do with interviews. We need more about the car, maybe, or about rivalries, because there's never actually any cutscenes at all to do with the rivalry system at all. And again, obviously, this comes back to the story mode that they had in F1 2019, which they had. It was actually quite nice to see in F2 the cutscenes they had, and then they never brought it. They never modelled it into F1, into the F1 part of the game. So again, obviously, this ultimately depends if story mode comes back into F1 2021. Although how will that model that with my team, because obviously that's going to be their main selling point of the game going forwards, considering how successful it was this year's game compared to last year's game with the casual player. But yes, that's going to be it for this week's video. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see more F1 2021 game ideas videos and when they come out. If you've got any of your own, then please do let me know in the comments below, and I'll add them to future videos. But until the next video, time, take care. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.